semifinals, but it's going to be Michael Bomholt playing a Goblin Welder, Kuldotha Forge Master-based Mono Brown. Not exactly Mono Brown because of Goblin Welder. And his opponent is Bryan Fisher, playing a deck that has been termed by him Junk and Taxes. Both of these decks are pretty unorthodox, so it's going to be pretty exciting to see what happens. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I want the Goblin Welder deck to win. I mean, this deck looks like it just looks better than everything I've seen thus far, and by better I mean more fun. But I've only seen it in action 3 games, and it just like kind of just played a 6/6 on turn 2 that had Death Touch and Lifelink and makes more 3/3s. And in game 1, it did truly degenerate things. And it didn't even have that great of a draw. It mulliganed all 3 games. Now, that's something that's important to remember. Like, those were not optimal games for that deck.
I think that Junk and Taxes is going to win. I'm looking at it. He's got 4 swords for the Metalworker, for the Goblin Welder. He's got 4 Thoughtseize to disrupt his opponent. He's got Mangara of Karandor Caracas as like a double touch attack on the whole way that things work. He's got Kasali Pride Mage main deck. And then he boards Maelstrom Pulses, more Paths, Duress.
And Path is just better than Swords even in this matchup.
And Extirpate means he can actually even disrupt a Welder once it gets into play.
Yeah, this actually, he can interact a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
this may be the end of Michael Bomholt's run.
I think that Mike might have found, you know,
may have met his match here.
Yeah, I mean, this very
Mother of Runes comes out. That card is pretty unexciting. Bryan Fisher may.
I think there might be some kryptonite here going on. It's just, we'll have to see. My prediction is going to be in 3 games, Bryan Fisher will win.
I believe. I believe in the Welder deck.
Sure.
We're off to the start of the match with die roll starting. I think Bryan Fisher won the die roll. He gets to be on the play with his Junk and Taxes deck. This deck is similar to the deck that Lou Laskin played at the Star City Open in Legacy at Kansas City.
Yeah, and it's kind of a mashup with that deck. And he explicitly said it was a mashup with that deck and the Junk decks that have been being played more recently, largely based off of the Brian Cole build from Grand Prix
Columbus
that was run by Brad Nelson at that event. Brian Cole was playing it before that event, but that was where probably it got its most notice.
Tell that you need to go to Dallas now. I mean, I need to find at least 1 or 2 more weekends to go to so that I can just automatically get the invitation.
So it looks like Michael actually won the die roll, and he's going to keep his opener here, and Bryan is going to mulligan.
How many people were in this today? But right now you're only better than 11.
Michael Bomholt apparently calls his own deck Mud Stompy.
All right. You hold on to that.
I like that name. Mud is also a good term. It's brown. Mud is brown, you know.
Oh, man. That deck is
It's funny.
I mean, the Lodestone Golems can come down on turn 1. And if you're on the play and you play a turn 1 Lodestone Golem, there's not really much your opponent can do.
I could see there being a
Bryan Fisher's deck is just cold to that, right? I mean, everybody's deck is just cold to that. Turn 1 Lodestone Golem.
It's not that, I mean, it slows him down. He can still come back.
Yeah, he has to swords it on like turn 2.
Yeah.
If it's followed up by Wasteland or something, it's extraordinarily hard.
I mean, it can certainly play out like a stacks-like attack. I mean, because the thing about Lodestone Golem is it's Juggernaut, which used to be played in the old vintage stacks decks, and it's the Sphere all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an incredibly strong card, especially strong against storm archetypes, things like that. That's where would have expected to see it. But when you're producing like a lot of mana and you're only attempting to cast artifacts, then the disadvantage that it causes for you is almost non-existent, while it puts a pretty big hindrance on your opponent.
Okay. Voltaic Key from a Great Furnace to start.
Good.
When he says go. It's a risky keep. I mean, I feel like you kind of want to start with... I guess he has a Swords as a potential disrupting spell. You know, Mary's going to be
he
the
is
crack.
going to,
Get the Swords.
He's going to Swords this Metalworker so fast. The Metalworker and Voltaic Key is a healthy amount of mana.
Yes, totally. Okay, the Swords.
Swords takes care of that.
Yeah.
Michael gains a bit of life, and
So then, right?
Bryan gets to untap. Bryan's deck has a lot of powerful 2-drops here. Ooh,
Aether Vial and no other land. That's rough.
that is very rough.
Metalworker number 2.
Yeah,
Does he have another Swords in his hand?
I don't think he does. But, I mean, it's not an unreasonable keep. He already mulliganed down to 6. He had a Swords in his hand. He also had a Vial for turn 1.
So charge vial. I'll drop.
But this
Top
looks
of the-
pretty scary.
Oh, there we go. Some mana.
Yeah, he found an extra land.
And pretty much what has to happen here is something not scary.
Yeah.
Know?
The odds of that, I think, are pretty low. I mean,
This is the part I always hate.
Nobody likes this.
yeah, that's pretty scary. Voltaic Key, untap it, tap it again.
There we go. That's a lot of mana.
You know I'm not going to force it.
You could have a response. Play that.
That's pretty good.
So much mana. That's it.
Yep, that'll do it.
That's- I mean, there's literally nothing in his deck that actually...
Yeah, there's no way out of this.
Well, if he top decks a Swords to Plowshares right now, he can get the Koldath Forge Master. And then have to worry about the Lodestone.
When he only has 3 drops in his hand, and he has only 2 lands in play. I guess he has a Vial. So
Good.
he can start playing 3 drops. And he's going to get the Vial up to 3, and he's going to start removing things with Mankara. So
4 min? Play that. 2 up. And activate key targeted forge master.
gets to
Activate forge master.
Man, it's going to be ridiculous. I'm so excited.
Floating.
I love when your opponent says that.
Floating core, stacking these 3.
sacrifice these 3 artifacts to his Kodalth Forge Master. And what's he gonna get? That's a Mirror Battlesphere. he can. Oh god.
Sacrifice these 3.
He's literally just comboing off.
I like that guy.
He's
Voltaic
just going
Key,
insane.
Yeah.
He's gonna put a Sundering Titan into play and destroy both of his opponent's lands. This is turn 3.
I love Legacy.
Oh man, no, it's turn 4. It's turn 4. His opponent decides to pack it in. He decides that's good enough.
Okay. So
Well,
for the giveaway that we have, I've got another trivia question for all of you history buffs out there. And so where you're going to be wanting to answer this is at
And that, like, do that whole announcement again.
right. Absolutely. Where you're going to be wanting to respond to this is at the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag SCGINDY leg top 8. That's hashtag SCGINDYLEG top 4. My bad. TOP4. So for those of you who are ready for the question, since we have some metalworker shenanigans going on, in a very famous match, two well-known pro players were dueling with nearly exact mirror decks, both metalworkers, when one player got an advantage. He got this advantage, I'm going to restate this, when one player got an advantage from a small mistake and he was overwhelmed by tokens from his opponent. What Artifact Mirror Match players were they? What two famous pro players played this, I believe, U.S. Nationals Finals?
And can we say what the mistake was made with? Phyrexian processor?
There we go,
I believe?
Phyrexian processor. There's another part to the mistake. What's the other part to the mistake?
What is it?
Crumbling Sanctuary.
Exactly. You're right.
And that's pound SCGINDY LEG top 4. So with the Crumbling Sanctuary Phyrexian processor mistake, one of these players vanquished the other. Who were the two pro players that are quite famous? The two friends is another little fun clue. Is it? I'm told that might have been the World's final. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was probably
That was Worlds. That was Worlds. Thank you, Ronnie Serio, for that quick fix.
I remember watching that.
Did you test against junk? What? Did you test against junk? Is that one 5 decks you tested against?
I know somebody had floating around the.
Remember the hashtag.
Remember to put on your hashtags there, everyone.
I beat those today quite a bit.
Ready for this? I actually did not compare against Tribal.
Remember, everyone, the hashtag is SCGINDY leg top 4. That's SCGINDYLEG TOP4. Now, Michael's up a game, and he did some pretty degenerate things that last game. And we were so worried about these cards like Kasali Pride Mage and Swords and things like that. And his opponent did stumble. His opponent had a very lackluster draw. But I don't think there's much he could have done, even if he... unless he could have had another Swords for that second Metalworker.
Right.
And, that would have been pretty good. And post-board, he's going to get Paths also. So...
Paths and pulses and, Swords, Path, Pulse, Mangaro of Karandor, oh my.
Oh, yeah. Now, he's got answers for those Metalworkers now post-board. But imagine a world where Michael plays a turn 1 Grin Monolith. Suddenly, things seem very difficult.
That would be cool.
I'm just going to repeat the question. For the pound SCGINDY top 4, a famous finals with a metalworker mirror match in the World Championships had two friends and pros play, where a mistake by one of them with Phyrexian processor and
Crumbling
Sanctuary caused one of these famous pros to lose. Who were the two pros that played?
Well, it turned to mid-range.
Meanwhile, we're waiting here for Michael Bomholt and Bryan Fisher to finish out this match. Michael Bomholt is up 1-0. In that game, what he ended up doing is he put down a metalworker, which was first Swords, put down a second metalworker, which was unanswered, and Bryan Fisher stumbled on mana. And as a result, what happened?
I mean, on turn 4, he had he decided, well, I'm going to go and get a Myr Battlesphere with this Kadolth the Forge Master, and I'm going to do that with the activation of Voltaiki on the stack, targeting my Kadolth the Forge Master. My Kadolth the Forge Master is going to untap, and then I'm going to sacrifice some of the tokens from this Myr Battlesphere, and I'm going to search my library for a Sundering Titan, and I'm going to kill all of your lands. At that point, his board was a Myr Battlesphere, with a token left over, a Sundering Titan, a 7/10 Sundering Titan, a 3/5 Kadolth the Forge Master, a metalworker, and the ability to create a lot of mana. So here we have an opening hand here.
Duress.
I see a Phyrexian Revoker there. I think he may have just straight up whiffed with that Duress.
I think so. I mean, a lot of the cards that are in this deck are creatures. That looks like a whiff. It's information. It's a bad peek.
Good.
I think I see a Kasali Pride Mage in his hand. Wasteland. That is a Kasali Pride Mage.
Good.
Prime Mage's pretty good.
And there's the
Especially in
Voltaic
this
Key.
matchup. Rips the Voltaic Key off the top.
You had that written down?
That's odd. There must be a graveyard off camera that we cannot see. He must have actually gotten a card with the Duress.
Yeah.
Adrian's going to get this sorted out so that we can actually see what was taken by the Duress.
Oh, pardon me.
Adrian.
I was gonna say, you could have just told me to do that.
Did the Duress just fail to find? Because it looks like there's only a wasteland in that yard.
You know, I'm not sure what was the case there. Like, I think he might have written down the Great Furnace and was scratching off the Great Furnace there when he was scratching off a card, because the judge didn't seem to be perturbed by the lack of Duress being in target being in the yard. So I think the Great Furnace was what was crossed off. And we're going to have a Revoker.
That'll probably name Kasali Pride Mage in a spot like this.
Kasali
Maybe
Pride
Aether Vial.
Mage, Mangara of Karandor, maybe Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah, that's got some stuff to name here.
Can we find out what he got?
Pride Mage.
Kasali Pride Mage.
Ding. Red and blind.
Well, Pride Mage still has Exalted.
It's true.
Not this turn, though.
Also true.
Mangara of Karandor.
It's a pretty good one. Especially because he has the Kasali Pride Mage in hand. He gets to get rid of the Revoker. And I think I just run the Metalworker out there this turn. Maybe I play... Is that a Crucible in his hand?
Can't quite tell.
I think he may have just drawn a Crucible. If he just drew a Crucible, then he could just start Wasteland. Yep.
Crucible Wasteland. That basically forces the Mangara to
get rid of the Crucible.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're waiting to see. He's now got his active Mangara.
Yeah, we'll see what he...
I mean, he can do knock out the Revoker, and then lay Kasali Pride Mage, and then knock out the Crucible.
That seems like it's got to be the best line of play. But ironically, then Michael just plays a metalworker, and Brian's kind of cold to it.
There goes the Revoker. Here comes the Pride Mage.
Oh, he has the swords.
Yeah, Swords gives him...
Wow, he's got all the right answers.
And then his Tarmogoyf gets to attack for an additional 1.
No, he decided not to pump it beforehand. I guess he probably should have done that with the Exalted Trigger on.
Maybe he did.
Oh, perhaps he did.
And yeah, it looks like he did.
Oh, I should have done that before. We're playing loose on camera. This guy?
Metalworker.
Pass the turn. This opponent
Mm,
will
here
certainly
comes-
cast the swords.
Is that Swords and Thoughtseize? And both of those can come in, baiting the Metalworker to block.
I don't think that's happening.
I agree, I agree. And Thoughtseize should probably come down first.
Seems reasonable enough.
Cards?
Thoughtseize shows him Lodestone, Sundering Titan, Wormcoil Engine, and a City of Traders. Huh.
Huh. I mean, it's not
It's not easy.
He's, even with the swords, he's not in a good spot.
Takes the Lodestone Golem, the card that can actually be cast in the next turn. Swords is the Mangara.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get 12? Go ahead.
I think I just saw another Ancient Tomb get drawn.
Yes, did I?
So one of the problems here, obviously, is that City of Traders is just gonna...
Yeah, he's drawn an abundance of City of Traders this game, which is somewhat unfortunate. He, he kept the hand with just one of them and ripped 2 of them off the top. They've, especially past the second, they have very little value. The second one is kind of just like you have to think about it as a ritual for 2 that takes up your land draw.
Here it comes, little trade. Ancient Tomb. I think that's another City of Traders in his hands. And he's just waiting. I think I see a Mangara in Brian Fisher's hands.
Yeah, as do I. And that should just lock it up.
Yeah. Ooh, Bob.
Oh.
I don't have a problem with that play. Like, he's still a little ways off from being under threat. If
Well-
he lays the Mangara on the next turn. Oh boy, maybe I was wrong. Yeah, he can actually cast a 6 now.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He can cast an 8 now.
Is that all of his opponent's lands? That is all of his opponent's lands, correct?
2, 3, 4, 5. Six, 7, 8. Boom.
Humph. Wow!
Oh my god!
This is so sick! Oh my god. I'm so excited right now. I thought he was just cold. I thought there was no way.
I actually didn't think about the Grim Monolith either. The Voltaic was sitting there so innocuously.
Look at this worthless Voltaic he's sitting there and play. Now it's actually an extra City of Traders.
Yeah, and there wasn't double white in Brian Fisher's board to make the Mangara earlier. Okay. Now, Voltaic Key Sundering Titan means he gets to attack and untap it for the blocks.
It's true.
It's pretty crazy. Oh my god. What a game. I almost let out a curse there. I was so amazed.
Yeah, I was right there with you.
And he's still got more worm coil engine.
I'll go to 3. Go ahead.
It's all good.
I mean, his opponent could just draw swords.
Absolutely.
Or path. I'll just end it. It's another land. Let's see. What is it? It's a Tarmogoyf. That is not what he needed to draw.
Took 2 from each. Yes. You didn't run.
Okay.
You just missed one.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
This is so exciting. Oh, man.
You know, one of the things that is really just shocking about this is how it looked so close to being just done.
Yeah, I thought there was no, like, he drew he just drew a Grim Monolith, and his opponent had no board.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that maybe when he cast the Thoughtseize there and took the Lodestone Golem, he might have been thinking a little bit too small. You know,
Yeah.
the Sundering Titan there, if the Sundering Titan was gone, if that was in the yard, then this game actually would be a real fight with cards like Mangara in play.
Yeah, I mean, well, Brian Fisher would have just crushed him
Yes.
if the Titan was not.
And he had the option to make that happen, you know. The Lodestone Golem would have been in play, and it might have been a card that would have been able to take out the Tarmogoyf. I'm not sure how big the Tarmogoyf was. We had land, we had instant, we had sorcery, we had artifact, we had creature. So the Tarmogoyf was a 5/6, so actually the Lodestone Golem can't fight it. It can only race it.
There seems to be some question as to Brian Fisher's light total.
2, 3, 4, 5.
So I can do math.
Yes. I was thinking.
You know what I like to see?
What's that?
I'd like to see another worm coil engine off the top. It doesn't really matter. He has the key to untap, the one he has.
But
Now, what's so crazy is that Tarmogoyf is almost as big as these.
Yeah, well, Tarmogoyf is a 5/6.
What did he draw here?
So he's going to have to actually, I think, throw away the Dark Confidant to block the Sundering Titan. Because if he kills the Sundering Titan, then he'll just lose all of his lands. And it's just, there's no way for him to come back from that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is just absurd. I am so in love with this deck, and this deck is just gonna crush Ben.
I think, yeah.
I mean, he does such broken things out of nowhere. Like, literally, his opponent activated Mangara, his opponent cast Swords, his opponent Thoughtseized him twice, his opponent duressed him, his opponent had a Confidant in play, and curved out perfectly.
And Thoughtseized.
Yeah, and then the game just ended. All of a sudden, he just had no cards in play. Well, I mean, he had, like, this game is still close, for the record. Like, this game is a Swords or Path away from, well, I guess not a Swords. Swords and Michael gains a whole bunch of life again. It's hilarious. He can't even kill the Titan because
Yeah, he can't allow himself to be gunned.
it'll just get in him again.
Here's the chump.
And I'll take 6.
And that worm coil.
2-9.
God.
Bryan 2. Bryan 9.
What's his hand? Phyrexian Revoker.
This guy.
Naming? Cassandra.
Bryan's beach.
I assume. Seems like the most reasonable choice. It's the only thing that could hit it this next turn. Hit one of the artifacts.
Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize is not going to do it. He named Umezawa's Jitte. Seems a little odd, but at this point, I don't think it's overly relevant.
Kasali Pride Mage. Can't really do anything. He can't attack. The Voltaic Key brings back up something bigger than whatever he attacks with.
Yeah. Gains him 6 life, eats a Tarmogoyf.
With the with a single attacker, if he comes in, you know, he can untap the Sundering Titan and kill the Tarmogoyf because the Tarmogoyf will get bigger. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
Michael Bomholt.
This deck is the realness.
Oh my God.
His opponent did everything right. His opponent had every tool you want.
Well, I mean.